Okay, hold on.
Oh. Hey,
Fuck
we're live.
you.
Oh, we didn't do the thing. We didn't do the thing where we count
Do
down.
the thing?
Yeah.
Don't. I'll leave.
Why?
I will leave. I will leave.
You would leave if you
Don't.
put on the countdown?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Not even kidding. Unironically, I would leave.
Wow.
We're in it. We're doing this now.
Made this very awkward for everyone.
It's awkward because you're making it awkward.
I'm comfortable.
People say that. I don't think that's a thing. Hi, everybody. Welcome. There's no countdown. We had one viewer and they already left because they were like, I want the countdown. I guess
That's what they
I'll
come
leave.
for. They set their watch every Monday and then they're out. Sometimes it stays on, but they're not paying
so that they can watch the other watch.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up to all our sidekicks and hench folk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast, episode 790. We're changing things up a tad. We were doing weekly comic reviews, but we found that was getting a little stale and boring and blah, 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 blah. So we're going to be doing movies and graphic novels on alternating weeks. I don't know why there was a third option. And then at the end of the month, we'll be doing like a monthly comics roundup show. That's the words I'm looking for. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street in Philadelphia, PA, a super rad shop which caters to nerdy and nerd-adjacent individuals of all shapes and sizes. Joining me tonight are, well, not that guy. Get out of here. Rob Patey, you're not here. Brian Lieb.
Hey.
And
Mars Comics.
Oh, and
Hey, what's up? You're back. Hey.
Hey. Oh, and do they always have a little Mars Comics logo? That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for everyone joining us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. If you like what we're doing, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Noel, I introduced Brian and asked him how he is. He said whatever. Noel, how you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. It's been a better day. I'm sorry, Robert Monroe Jr., longtime listener, constant contributor, friend of the show, said, welcome back. I'm sorry I've been away for so long. I've just been at a 9 to 5 that doesn't like to end at 5.
Yeah.
So
9 to 9.
Or later. Yeah.
Yeah.
But working on it. Thank you for welcoming me back. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, and Mars says, what? No comic reviews? Yeah, sorry, Mars. The show has changed. That's what happens when you skip out. You miss out on the new stuff.
Mars, don't worry, because I will try and squeeze in the weekly comics every chance I get.
Nice.
Yeah, because that's how I roll, brother.
Here's what it's going to be. It's going to be what we've been doing this week, right? For the past week since we last saw each other. A little catch up on maybe TV or video games or movies that we've been watching or comic books we've been reading. And then we'll have a main review. So tonight, we're going to have a segment we like to call, What'd You Do This Week, Huh? And then we're going to do a full-length review of Everything Everywhere All at Once. The film, the movie.
Yeah,
so
and next week, a graphic novel that we've decided upon in advance. The idea is for us to all be on the same page, because if you were watching weekly or listening weekly, sometimes we all didn't read all the same stuff. And life got in the way. So we're trying to be as strategic as possible while still doing all the stuff that hopefully everybody enjoys. Brian.
So for next week, look at all of the nice Noel comments in the down belows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put them on the screen.
Someone said, Kevin said, Noel, exclamation point. And then Hal said, hey, Noel, welcome back. And then Robbie Monroe Jr. said, oh, has anyone watched Paper Girls? That wasn't
which Noel has watched.
Comment. Oh, I have. We're going to talk about that and what you've been doing this week. Yeah. Oh, no.
For a second, Kevin thought the new format didn't include Noel.
We were worried about that too.
For a second, earlier in the show, I was about to quit. Because goddamn it. Can we do behind the sausage for a second? Like behind the sausage curtain?
Let's peek back there.
All right. So this program, we're using StreamYard in order to blast our faces and our voices onto you. Has this feature where you could hit the timer and it does the with the numbers, right? If
Yeah,
you hit
it's a
go
countdown.
live, if you hit go live and the number, and then the number, you'll get like on the feedback later on, you'll get like we're gonna hit, like you'll get like a second or two of live action before you go to the countdown, like a poor edit. So
Yeah.
I am oddly militant about this one thing that we try and do every week, where I'm gonna hit the countdown and then I'm gonna pause and then hit live, so there's no weird edit. We didn't do that, and these motherfuckers right here.
Oh, he means me. For anyone in the iTunes, he means JD and Brian.
JD and Brian. JD
Other
and Brian.
motherfuckers on the podcast.
The only other motherfuckers on the show.
These sons of butts threatened to hit the countdown, which triggered me after going live.
Really
Triggered me hard. Because all I care about is quality and consistency. That's it.
Consistent quality. I'll tell you what, the whole point of the countdown is to be done after it's live, and then it just kind of fades into the countdown and then goes into the show. So I hear you.
You guys want to make the countdown a segment? Yeah. I'll go ahead and put it in the script. After the first review, we'll do a countdown live.
Yeah. I think we should do a 30-second countdown to all of our different segments.
A 30-second break
between each 30-second countdown.
As long as there is a strategic solution, my little things won't fire inside of my head.
Sounds good.
I love it.
You can also email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com, and you can join our book club Facebook group. If you go on the Facebook and look at the groups, you can find JD's Hero Complex Book Club. Every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, we have a private book club / movie club that we do. Anyway, that's it. We did it. That's the intro. Now we can get into the beef, the jerky of the show. Before we get around to our main review tonight of the film Everything Everywhere All at Once, we're going to go around the digital room and talk a little bit about the week in a segment we like to call, Hey, what'd you do this week, huh? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I have to, let's
breaking news.
What is it?
Breaking news.
The Flash TV show on the CW will end with a 13-episode 9th season. What are your thoughts on this breaking news? No.
Oh, you know what? I think of the three of us, the only person that still watches it religiously is Ryan. I would like to hear his thoughts on this first before
You're right. No, shut up. Brian, what are your thoughts?
I'll tell you what, the fact that I am not caught up on a Flash TV series,
okay,
I am like an arc behind.
Okay, that makes sense.
It says a lot for the show, right? And I was never like, man, I'm tired of this show. I just, when it went on hiatus and came back, I didn't go back to it,
Oh, same.
And now I have the whole back half of the season. Yeah.
Same, except it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
So for me, like for some reason, like I enjoyed it for a long time, and then I got to maybe season 5, and I was like, oh, that's still the Flash.
Yeah.
And then it went away, and when it came back, I just didn't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and I would jump in every once in a while, like watch the season premiere or the season finale and catch up or whatever. But then that stopped in like season 6. I'm like, all right, it's cool.
My experience with The Flash is I got up to whatever season it is with Savitar. And I watched. Oh, wait, no, I finished that one. Never mind. Who's the one after Savitar? The next one.
The Dark Matter one where the elongated man is introduced, right?
Yes, that's the season I'm on right now.
That's
but the negativity coming from almost every person I talked to about the Flash television show, the negativity was so pervasive that I went, even though I'm currently enjoying it, my enthusiasm just went down and down and down and down until I was just like, I got other things to watch. So I started off loving the Flash. I thought that show was awesome. Such a fun show. And I think I'm on season 5. Is it 4 or 5?
I think Savitar. 5, probably 5.
So
5
that's where I'm at.
That's essentially where I fell off too. I just 9 years ago, or 8, or I don't know. God.
Yeah.
There was nothing else like it on television. It really was mimicking the joy of comics. They had those great after credit bumpers. Like, it was just a fun ass show that kept escalating, and I loved it. Then over the last 9 years, the quality of television and sequential storytelling in the art form has evolved. Yet that show hasn't changed a stitch. So it became passe in its own lifetime, and I was just like, you know what, it's not engaging anymore. Same thing happened with the Arrow show. It just, like, it was on like 4 seasons long.
Arrow picked back up, I feel like, in the, what was it, second to last season where he goes to prison. I was like, oh, I'm once again interested in this show. This is pretty cool. And maybe The Flash will do something similar. I was a little surprised that it's a short season. I expected it to end after this season, but it being shorter, surprised me. Oh, what does Mars Comics say?
Mark's Comics says, yeah, my kid fell in love with The Flash years ago. He is such a fan of the show. Now he picks up the comics. Yeah,
Fantastic.
It's a great gateway, but it just 9 years is a long time for any television show, no matter how good it is. And at the 5 season mark, I just felt like doing other things.
Yeah. I do still intend to go back and pick up the rest of this season, and I'll see the final season. But yeah, it's just not as, you know what? Also, it's not as much about the Flash as it was in the beginning. You know, there's a lot of other
That's
stuff
about the Flash
going on.
family.
Yeah.
Team Flash.
Yeah. Which didn't work out well in the comics either.
Hal says the CW just rides their shows into the ground. I loved Arrow and Flash, Black Lightning, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow is a couple of seasons. Then they went on too long. And Mars agrees.
Black Lightning
Mars
was
says,
only
I agree.
3 seasons, though.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, but maybe it only stopped being good after the first season. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. No, I actually thought that one got better and better.
Yeah.
I think so, if I'm remembering it correctly, or maybe it went up and then, or down and back up. I forget, but I think the Flash, whatever season Iris became the leader of Team Flash for some reason, seemed to coincide with. There was some season where they needed something for her to do. Now that her storyline didn't involve Eddie Thawne or figuring out who the Flash was, or and she and Barry were together, I think. And being murdered, that can put a lot on one's plate, and then when you don't have to worry about it anymore, you got to find something to do. So she became the leader of Team Flash.
I did the last episode I watched. I watched the Armageddon thing at the beginning of this season, just to
Armageddon 2001.
No.
No, unfortunately, you know what? If it was like an adaptation of that, it probably would have been so much better. It was. I guess I was shocked. So I have watched a handful of episodes of Superman and Lois, which is a very well produced show, and it's very, very fun, and it's the same network. So now I'm used to that, and I picked back up in Flash, and I'm like, oh, this still looks really cheap. Yeah. Like, it didn't even look good. So I didn't understand. It's almost like it's just been stuck in the same hamster wheel for a while. I love endings. I've learned in my old age. I like things that end leading towards the thing instead of just stretching it out for 15 years.
Speaking of stretching it out,
Mr. Fantastic.
Also, before we go around the room, one more bit of business. How do you say her name?
Nichelle
Nichols.
Yeah.
Nichelle Nichols passed away Saturday at the age of 89. She was best known as who?
Lieutenant Uhura.
Nyota Uhura.
Nyota Uhura. On Star Trek.
Although that is never mentioned in the original series. She's just called Lieutenant Uhura. No. Are you sure about that?
No, but it's canon, so.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's not. I just think it's interesting.
She's notably the better half of network television's first interracial on-screen kiss in 1968.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It was supposed to be between Nimoy and her, and Shatner demanded, he was like, the first interracial kiss I will be a part of, and he did it. So it was Kirk and Uhura were forced to kiss, but yeah, she
That's
was
awesome.
she was part of
Yeah.
that. Do you know that Martin Luther King Jr. asked her to stay on that show? Did you hear
What?
about that?
No.
So she was going to leave the show, and she met Martin Luther King Jr. at some organization, some meeting or something like that. And she was going to leave, and he said, "Please don't leave. You are a black woman on TV in a respected role. She's not a
Yeah.
stereotype or anything like that. And you're the only one right now." And so she agreed to stay on the show.
That's so much pressure.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Imagine having MLK put that on you. Like, well, first of all, I guess it's probably like an honor.
I would think so. And
Right.
she agreed, obviously,
Yeah.
right? So, I would imagine that brought her gratification in life, I would hope.
Oh, and Kevin says, anyone else watch the Milestone documentary on HBO Max? It
Oh,
was a nice
yeah.
surprise in my feed. I was very excited to see it. I pressed play, and then my baby started screaming. So then I was like, pause, and I haven't gone back to it yet.
So at the shop was very, very busy Sunday. However, we didn't have our first guest until like 12:45. So I watched like 90% of that motherfucker when the store opened, and it was fascinating to the point where I was like pausing and like I need to actually hear what they're talking about, because they were actually getting into their fights they had with DC Publishing, who was in charge of what by name and not. It made me miss Dwayne McDuffie even more.
Oh, yeah.
It's just awesome. It's a really, really good doc, and I'm actually upset. It's only an hour long. I'm sure they could have done like 4 episodes of how like in the weeds it was. It was really cool.
Robert Monroe says, I figured out the twist halfway through the first episode of Superman and Lois. Saw as a typical CW show and never watched it again. I've only watched like an episode and a half of that show. I didn't know there was a twist.
He's saying the twist is that the one you would think would be the one with powers is not the one with powers. Robert Monroe Jr., I wouldn't let that throw you. That was just like an episode 1 hook. It's really the story is interesting on its own. It's not and the way that they both deal with it, and the Golden Sun with the powers is pretty chill about it, really.
Well,
I mean, not exclusively chill.
I mean, if
right. I would say it's definitely not the typical like he descends into bitterness and hatred.
Yeah. The only thing that I don't, and I wouldn't even consider this a spoiler, but the only thing that I know it's a show, it has to progress. I wish they would have spent a little bit more time on. So like Jordan, the younger son who manifests the powers, he suffers from severe anxiety.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of the first half of season 1. But then when the plot requires him to just punch, we kind of forget about the anxiety part. And I was like, oh, I really wish they would have kind of, really worked on that a little bit more. But besides that, the show's really fun. Imagine having super senses and being anxious. Like that's
having anxiety, yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Oof.
Anyway.
All right. Oh yeah, Hal says, yeah, Brian, I heard that story about MLK. And everyone agrees that the Milestone documentary was good.
Nice. Oh, did you hear the woman who did the voice of Ursula on The Little Mermaid also passed away?
Oh.
Yeah. She was also excellent, but that is the only thing that I know her from. But
I don't know her name.
No.
Me neither. Oh, hey, what have you been reading? What have we been doing? I'm going to start it off. Here's what we've been doing. I finished up Severance. Have anyone watching Severance?
No, I really want to know.
Have yet to finish episode 1, but
it's so good. Everyone watch it. Brian, you specifically, I think you would like it very much.
I really do want to watch it. I like Adam Scott a lot. I like what seems like the nature of the plot, the type of story that it is. I'm ready. I'm into it.
It asks questions, very interesting questions. I think you'll like it a lot.
Cool.
So if anyone out there hasn't watched Severance on Apple Plus, starring Adam Scott, highly recommend it. So it's Adam Scott and from one of my favorite movies.
John Turturro.
John Turturro's in it. Christopher Walken's in it.
Oh, Christopher Walken's in it? Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. And a very surprising kind of role.
Oh.
And oh gosh, what was her name? She was in Quentin Tarantino's first script movie, True Romance.
Yeah. I also
Patricia
do not remember
Arquette.
the name. Oh, yeah.
Patricia Arquette's
Patricia
in it. And
Arquette's in
she's
it. Oh, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, she's the
highly
boss
recommend
lady.
it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Watched the first episode and my wife and I both dug it. It's just we just didn't watch the next one yet.
You gotta.
Yeah, other
It's
things
really, really good.
happened.
Understandable. The other thing is, I read a comic book this week. I read
what was it?
Amazing Spider-Man number 900. It's the only comic
What'd
book
you
I read this
think?
week. Oh, besides Paper Girls, I was also reading that. I thought it was awesome. What a great issue of Amazing Spider-Man. So this is issue 900 of Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, we're doing a clap. We can clap.
Oh, I was clapping for it because it is a perfect comic book. Please,
It's
go on.
so good.
Um,
So yeah,
Yeah.
issue 900 of Amazing Spider-Man is actually issue number 6 of the current run of Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells, usually drawn by John Romita Jr., except this issue is drawn by Ed McGuinness, and it is fucking gorgeous. And it's got a throwback villain making a new appearance from, it was Amazing Spider-Man number 8 back in 1964, with the Living Brain. So the Living Brain returns and then does some noodling with what's it called, an adaptoid?
A super
Yeah.
adaptoid.
A super adaptoid, which
a
gives it all of
sinister
the
adaptoid.
gives it all of the abilities of the entire Sinister Six.
Uh-oh.
So he's fighting the entire Sinister Six. But the other cool thing is that for some reason, he only read the Amazing Spider-Man annual number 1. They're starting the first appearance of the Sinister Six, and so the only dialogue that machine has is dialogue of the villains from annual number 1.
Yeah.
Which is really fun. And then there's a surprise ending at the end, which I like. I always like when this sort of thing happens. I'm not going to reveal it, but what did you think? Noel, you gave it a clap.
It was the most after a hard week. It was the most delightful thing I put in front of my eyes. It was like the perfect mixture of $10 was worth it. It's like a 90-page comic and it's fantastic.
Agreed.
It's like the perfect mix of corny nostalgia, but without tipping over into eye-rolling BS, which I will, in my what you've been doing this week, we'll talk about. Think something that did it poorly. But yeah, man, Zeb Wells this book is so good. He's so amazing. He's amazing. I'm Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not even my favorite character, and this might be my favorite book going on right now at the two. It's so good.
It's super fun. Brian, you didn't read it, did you?
I did not. I do want to know what that thing is, though. I'll find out from
I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Oh, so Robin Monroe in the chat said I was going to pick it up, but it was a $10 book, so never mind. It's worth the $10, I think. It's such a good issue.
I thought that so it's a main story and 3 backups. The backups are like, first of all, the backups really aren't that great to me. But they're only like 3 or 4 pages each. It's like a 80-page all original story,
96.
all original art, 96. Well, I mean, take out the backups and then it's maybe 80 pages the whole thing's all new content. There's no reprints at all.
That's cool.
But that main story, all by Ed McGuinness, is just so fucking good. It's literally like an OGN. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's excellent. Highly recommended. And then the other thing was, I started Paper Girls. Paper Girls actually dropped on, is it Amazon Prime?
Yes.
Yes. And I think all 8 episodes dropped, and I watched 2 of them. And Noel, you're next up.
Yeah.
You watched it as well, right?
Yeah, actually, about an hour ago, we finished episode 5. Episode 1 and 2. So I have only read the first 11 issues of the comic. So I was reticent to binge the show. But my wife, who's read the whole comic, was like, no, I'm going to watch this without you, or you're just going to sit with it. I was like, all right. So we're in episode 5. It's already off the rails. There's nothing to do with the comic other than the general premise. It's totally different. Episode 1 and 2 are a touch clunky to me. Like the pacing's a little clunky and it seems like they're rushing. Episode 3 is like, oh, this is pretty good. Episode 4 is like, I'm in for life. And episode 5 is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the first like 5 minutes of a new show. They literally swap status quo that was established only 3 episodes ago. Like it is a good, fun show. If somebody told me I was going to see XYZ in like the 5th episode, I would have been like, I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds stupid. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's straight awesome.
Awesome.
Stick with it.
Yeah, I agree. The first 2 episodes that I watched were good. The first episode is almost line for line a bunch of the stuff that happens in the comic book. And then 2, it starts to get very different, but also still pretty fun. I wasn't blown away by it as much as I want to be by I want Brian K. Vaughan to get a really good show. I actually liked Why the Last Man, and it didn't last. I'm hoping this one will last.
When they introduce a character is introduced in episode 3, and I thought it was like, Sam, is this a character I haven't gotten to yet? She's like, no, it's a new character introduced to the show, and apparently Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang were like, we wish we thought of this guy beforehand because he's our favorite thing in what we do in the show. Also, and honestly, that's when the show just changes. Christopher Cantwell is an executive producer and a writer on the show.
Yeah, that I saw.
Halt and Catch Fire,
yeah, love Halt and Catch Fire. One of my favorite shows. Robert says I was binging Paper Girls and went through the first 6 episodes. Nice.
Confirm or deny episode 5 is like a weird game changer. Robert, in the chat when you get a chance.
And Brian, did you watch anything?
I did.
Paper Girls? Of the Paper Girls?
No.
Oh. No, I didn't mean, did you watch anything ever?
I thought it was a weird question at this time, but I was willing to answer it.
Do you watch?
I've watched.
Do you eyeball things? All right, no, you go. What did you do this week, huh?
Other than Paper Girls, I'll go really quick because I don't want to waste too much time on me. So comics wise, ASM 900 fantastic. I have gone back, so I never read, and now I'm starting to read 100 Bullets by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Risso, the old Vertigo series. If anybody's not familiar with it, it ended like 15 years ago, but if anybody's not familiar with it, a mysterious person brings you an attaché case of 100 rounds of untraceable ammunition, a gun, and irrefutable proof that a specific person ruined your life and how. And then you do what you want with it. It's a very interesting premise. It unfolds. I'm about 25 issues in. I know that it's a secret society kind of thing. That's fine. It's enjoyable, but the only thing that is really striking a harsh chord with me right now is it's very dated. It reads very dated. I know that Brian Azzarello is an old cranky white guy. So when I read him write people of color and harsh slang in context of scenarios, it's just is hitting me really weird. Really, really weird. It could be my bias, but it also just reads forced. Like, not every Latino person starts every sentence with esse and vato all the time. Right. Like it's written in a very noir style, which is a choice, but I don't know if it's a timeless choice.
Right.
Hal, go back and read it, or at least a handful of the issues. It's like the story's really good, but it just some of the dialogue just feels really forced, and it's throwing me off. But I'm gonna finish it. It's the plot itself is good. The other comic I wanted to talk about really quickly this week was Ant-Man #1 by Al Ewing and Tom Riley. I have it here. It's a 4-issue miniseries by Al Ewing that each issue focuses on an era of Ant-Man. So like Hank Pym, Eric O'Grady, the Dark Ant-Man,
yeah, man.
Scott Lang, and a mysterious 4th future Ant-Man. The book starts very interestingly with like this future Ant-Man from 2459 or something like that, who is going back in time for reasons we don't know, collecting other Ant-Men. And it's very stylish. It's really, really cool. He goes back to get Hank Pym in the 50s. And then the whole actually no, Zero listening to this. Yeah, it's very forced. Mark Comics commented, I actually know 0 Latino people who start sentences with ese or vato. You know what? Half Latino. Me too. I don't know anybody that does that unless they're making fun of it.
Oh, you're half Latino?
Yeah, I'm half Mexican. Anyway.
Oh, right.
So the comic itself, it's structured in a way to have like a bridging sequence that's in the future, but then it goes to a specific era. And of course, we're in the 60s, and it's written like a 1960s Golden Age comic book. Dialogue and all, for like 15 of the 20 pages. And it is insufferable. It's so accurate, it's hard to read, and I didn't enjoy it. But it's like you get what they were doing, and they did it so well that it worked in repelling me.
Right.
If it was just like a sequence, then I'd be like, oh, that's really cute what they did. But it's literally the entire issue of Hank Pym being mad at some street toughs throwing popcorn at him, so he gets the ants to go bite the children. It's like so Golden Age. It's painful.
This looks awesome
because I don't really enjoy that. But yeah, it's beautiful. Tom Riley art is absolutely beautiful. But it's just I had to pause in between and just like go read something else, and I came back to it because the bridging sequence that's the future Ant-Man, and he's doing something. The bridging sequence is really interesting in so much as if you go to the beginning and the end, the text boxes are fourth wall breaking, which is really, really cool. Like it's an AI that's speaking to the reader in context of the book. There's so many things going on that even though I didn't love like the main chunk of the book, I'm stuck in because I want to see what they do or whatever kind of style they mimic for the next issue and going forward. It's an interesting enough read to be like, okay, you've got me for 2 or 3. Let's see. So I thought it was pretty interesting. Yeah, you've convinced me to give it a shot, right?
Yeah, this looks cool as hell.
And the
Mars says, cool, no, I'm half Cuban, says Mars.
The last thing I wanted to talk about really fast was Seinfeld. I put the news on, and we left the TV on, and it was the Soup Nazi episode of Seinfeld, which now in like 20 years. I watched all of Seinfeld. I thought it was funny. It was fun. That's cool. I do not quote it. I haven't rewatched it like 1,000 times, like a lot of other people have. But watching it just one episode again, I think I realized that I don't like Seinfeld because they're all awful people. But
yeah,
I think my problem with it though is, so I watch something like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, arguably more awful people. But I love
definitely,
that show.
Definitely more awful.
I love that show though, because in every Seinfeld episode, they're portrayed in kind of a heroic way of being selfish, awful people. Whereas in It's Always Sunny, they are, to the viewer, also fucking awful. Like it doesn't glorify their shitty natures, whereas the show does. And that's also why, even though I don't love the show anymore, I don't have the same nostalgia for Seinfeld anymore. I love the finale. I loved the finale then, and I love it now still because they all went to jail for being assholes.
Right.
I was like, this is great. It's such a good ending. Like it was like 9 years later, they were able to finish the joke of, will these people ever pay for being like so incredibly shitty? And it did, and everyone hated it. And I was like, this is cool. This is great. I love this.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought the finale of Seinfeld, I remember thinking at the time, they were like, oh, this is them getting their comeuppance. And I'm like, the people who deserve comeuppance get it every episode. So that felt a little odd to me. But I was thinking about it recently, for whatever reason, about the general notion that the characters in Seinfeld are awful people. And because I was rewatching it recently too, and I was like, they're really not. George is. And a
Oh.
lot of the rest of the show is about etiquette. You know, it's about unwritten social rules and how you
don't
should
double
or should
dip!
not behave. Yeah, exactly. You know, or talking
That's
about
a really good point.
yeah. And Kramer is an innocent who very rarely does something that is
Mean-spirited.
unkind. You know, right. And in fact, often like calls the other ones on things that they're doing that they shouldn't be doing. And Jerry and Elaine are kind of like neutral. They're not good. They're selfish, but they're also not bad, which I think is interesting.
I think they're emotional sociopaths. They're not like villains, but they are incapable for the joke, and I get that it's for the joke. So I'm not like offended every time I watch an episode, but I realize like I have less. I can't really hold on to anything anymore. Like now, I just don't care for that kind of storytelling anymore.
Sure.
But they're emotional sociopaths, and I forgot my point. I just they're just shitty people. Yeah.
I often wonder if, because I've heard Jerry Seinfeld is a really, really nice guy, right? And I often wonder if this is like what he would do and who he would be if you couldn't hurt anybody's feelings, right? Like these are the things that he would say if it wasn't like horrible to say something like that to somebody or whatever. But you know, I don't know, obviously. So he got a lot of shit for not being able to act. And I always thought, and watching again, I think the character, Jerry Seinfeld, is amused at what he is saying. You know what I mean? He goes through life like saying funny things and laughing at them. Which so it's fine.
It's like I respect the show more than I enjoy it anymore. Whereas I could go back and still watch old episodes of Always Sunny and be like, yeah, this is brilliant.
I never saw that show because of the awfulness of it. And Seinfeld for a while I didn't watch, kind of for the same reason. That and The Simpsons were like neck and neck at the time, and for whatever reason, The Simpsons just stayed around in my esteem as this like intricate, beautiful comedy, and Seinfeld I kind of dropped off of a bit. But having rewatched it, some of it recently, I was like, oh, it holds up. It's like very well crafted comedy that's still funny. Yeah.
Robert Monroe says, I didn't like Seinfeld because I thought they were all assholes. So same camp.
Yeah, it's a well done show that I don't have fondness for. It's not that show sucks. It's good.
Yeah.
I just God damn, I don't think I can handle it anymore. Yeah.
Fair enough. Brian.
Yeah, what
you been doing this week, huh?
I've been doing a variety of things. One of which is watching The Orville, which I've really enjoyed. The Orville has gone from a comedy set in a Star Trek type universe in season 1 to a Star Trek type show with some jokes in a great way. Right? They've always have pretty good sci-fi storytelling, but that has become more and more the focus of what they're doing. And it's just like people who are maybe a little more like people you might run into and who aren't as stiff in Star Trek The Next Generation type environment. And, they have drinks and they joke around and whatever. This particular season is on Hulu. They're whatever length episodes they want them to be. And that's pretty cool. And which is also cool because it's harder to get a read on how the story is playing out, which is nice. When you don't know that you're like, oh, we're at the third commercial or what have you.
Yeah.
And the effects, or whatever budget is increased, the scope of it is increased. They introduced this character who is this ensign who all of a sudden is like the greatest at everything. She does this like 4-dimensional thinking for whatever reason. She's in every episode is a major focus, taking away from a variety of other like.
Can't
you're like,
imagine what this is referencing.
no, this is a real thing. This is not.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Is her name Mary Sue or MS
it's
or
not.
something like that?
But she is what a lot of people would probably refer to as that. She, who knows why you're thinking in the beginning, she is like, why is she doing this thing? It should be this guy who always does this kind of thing, and we haven't seen him in 2 episodes, you know? And she's like telling the super intelligent android what to do in this situation, you know, like that kind of stuff. She's also dating the creator, Seth MacFarlane, who dated one of the previous actors on the show who then left the show, right?
Oh.
And who knows? Who knows what the story was there? But yeah, she's like, she even, there's one episode, she accompanies this one group, even though she has every reason to have stayed with the original group and is made to pretend that she's in charge of engineering. There's like 6 other people that could do that. And it's like, what the hell is going on here? And by last episode, the reason for what the hell was going on there, I'm not going to say what it is.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. What's happening? No. I'm not going to say what it is. But having watched this most recent episode, I was like, oh, that's what they were up to. Okay. All right. That makes sense now. So it's like, it's weird. It throws you off because there's this, in season 3, there's this additional character who is takes up so much screen time and is super good at everything, while at the same time not really playing a character who seems super good at this variety of things, you know?
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane could not have done that on accident.
No.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, that is an explicit response to.
You think so? Oh, the Mary Sue kind of thing.
Absolutely. Because
he could be.
Like, Seth MacFarlane is super online, and he is very in tune with all of these franchises. He is a giant fan of Star Wars. He is a giant fan of Star Trek. Do you think that he's not aware of the all too common arguments that occur online in regards to introduced characters or newly introduced characters that just so happen to be female and or people of color? It has to be, right?
Yeah, the thing that occurs also, just in order for whatever to happen, like you need to have spent time with that character. So it makes sense that they would want to do that. But yeah, it could absolutely be a direct response to what's happening. But in addition, the individual stories, they do a lot of episodic stories, a single episode that still advance the overall kind of narrative of this world. It's been very cool. And another thing I won't spoil is a bunch of unexpected shit that happens in this most recent episode regarding just like where they have taken some of the alien races and whole show ongoing stories, but also this season's ongoing stories. It really has transformed itself into just, hey, we're doing Star Trek, but we're also doing it well. You know, it's clearly Star Trek: The Next Generation, but they're doing it well too. You know,
JD, have you watched any of the show yet?
I only watched the first half of the first season or first episode, maybe, or maybe I watched the first episode.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like a Seth MacFarlane thing that wasn't funny. Like, I'm not saying that Seth MacFarlane is not funny. I used to really like Family Guy back in the day, but it just felt like it wasn't interesting or funny enough to keep my attention.
It's also
I'd rather be watching another Star Trek show or another comedy. Do you know what I mean? When
he talks and it sounds like Brian from Family Guy, that was an episode or two trying to, lose that association.
I watched the whole first season. The first maybe 2 episodes were just like Star Trek with dick and fart jokes. It was enjoyable, but just like that. I think the 3rd episode with the gender reassignment episode that I was like, oh shit, this is a real show that actually wants to ask weird, real.
That
question.
is some of the major cool stuff this season. There is
That-
some excellent stuff with that.
The third
Yeah.
episode is why I finished the first season.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to go back and like do 2 and 3, but
Yeah.
there was such a big gap between seasons because it
Yeah.
is a very expensive show to produce. Like they've not been secret about that. Like going to Hulu was a financial decision because it was a budgetary concerns and they can do different things on Hulu versus
Yeah.
directly on Fox. So it's just there was such a gap that I just didn't watch the second season yet. And I saw some stuff about the third season. I was like, shit, I got to get back on that train. Because
Yeah, especially if that was the episode that you felt was the notable one to bring up here.
Oh, yeah.
Like season 3 does multiple cool things with that. With
yeah,
that
even
storyline.
the second half of the first season with like there was a I remember the episode that like the captain and his first officer ex-wife being stuck in almost like that aquarium scenario.
Yeah.
So they were trapped in a prison, but like almost like bottles in Candor, like the bottle of Candor, or in the Brainiac's aquarium, where they were just like, here's humans cohabitating for the museum or the zoo or something like that. And it was almost like a speed round of their entire relationship and how it went wrong, but it was in the context of a Star Trek show. So it was really impressive that it was effective on both ends. And
Yeah.
I mean, Seth MacFarlane's good at what he does. Like I don't like Family Guy. I don't like American Dad. I feel like those shows should have ended 10 years ago. But he's really good at what he does. And I'm glad that he's being creative in this direction as opposed to another edgelord animated show.
Yeah, he clearly just loves Star Trek. Like he's clearly enamored of it and just wants to do Star Trek. Like he wants to do his own Star Trek, and especially there's like so many guest stars of it. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean the first season had Charlize Theron for like a 4-episode arc or a 2-episode arc.
Charlize
out of nowhere. Yeah.
Was she? Oh, I meant specifically Star Trek guest stars. But yes, yeah. I forgot about that.
Like he's got friends everywhere, so it's just like they'll show up on the Orville. But speaking of Star Trek, though, like I did finish Strange New Worlds. Show's great.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
That's all.
Yeah, that show is excellent. I was looking forward to season 2. The very instant season 1 ended. Yeah, that's another great episodic Star Trek show. Hey, did you guys know? Speaking of Mary Sue, that I believe that first came from Star Trek fan fiction.
Yes.
I think so. Yes, I remember that anecdote.
Indeed.
There is so much content every week. I found myself right before the show. I found myself being like, "Wow, how many read so much stuff and watch so much stuff?" I'm like, "What do I want to talk about this week?" But that's the joy of this new format. We can just talk about anything. It doesn't specifically have to be comics. So, thumbs up, everybody.
Sweet.
JD,
I'm so high.
Oh, is that right?
Well, I was gonna. I mean, you've got the script. Would you like to just maybe read the next
script?
Bit? Oh wait, hang on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Huh, okay, I'm holding.
Seamless transitions.
What's happening?
Brian.
Hey,
tell
what's up?
people how they can support the show.
Oh, I'll tell you, if they wanted to, they could go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo and give any amount of money. I think upwards of, any amount. I don't
Loose
know.
change.
Has anyone
Throw it in
tried
the
to give
doorway.
$1 billion? I don't know if you can go up to.
Yet?
Nobody's tried.
Not yet.
Not yet. Be the first, Robert Monroe Jr., to give us
Apparently-
$1 billion.
Oh, hang on. This is a message.
Call
This
him
is a
out by
message.
name.
This is a message for the one person in Illinois that won the ball.
Yes,
I know.
that would be amazing.
I know it's not an actual billion,
Right.
but after taxes, your lump sum payout's going to be around $400 million. That's a lot. If I had $400 and you needed $1, I'd give you $1. Think it through.
No, how many sets of $400 do you have? Can
That's
I have
good.
that many
Kevin
dollars?
does give any amount. Thank you,
Two.
Kevin.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. We appreciate your amount. Only Johnny Destructo himself is privy to the specifics of what that amount is.
Yeah,
But,
we don't care.
Yeah. And
I'm really into this.
you got a
Pretzels.
glass
Push him into
jar
the mic.
full of pretzels for some reason. I know you didn't buy the pretzels in that glass jar. How do
I
they
feel
wind up
like I feel like an edible just activated maybe 5 minutes ago.
Uh-huh. So I have a thing called the rounds.
the rounds? Is that a syndrome? What is
I
he
shouldn't have
talking
eaten this
about?
pretzel. I'm still.
Oh, I thought it was like the bends and you
Yeah,
nitrogen bubbles.
that's
I've
alcoholism.
got the rounds.
No, I've got the rounds. The rounds is a service.
Oh,
I don't know if they're everywhere, but they're in Philadelphia, and they ride around on electric bicycles, and they bring you refillable stuff. Like it's a grocery run. They'll drop it off to you
oh.
in a tote bag.
They make the
So
rounds.
these are pretzels, and then like a natural sponge, and
pretzels and a
What else?
natural sponge.
and hand soap and
Uh-huh.
shampoo. Yeah,
All right.
Sustainable stuff. Yeah,
stuff
that's
you
cool.
hate.
bagels.
Are they all round things?
No.
All right. Do they have
Stop
curves? You know, well, bagels. pretzels
The
are
jars
round.
have rounds.
The jars are round. Yeah.
which-
all I
in
didn't know
which
about was the
every- yeah.
natural sponge.
Oh, Christopher Goodnight says I just finished Paper Girls and the first 3 episodes of Pretty Little Liars: Original Sins.
Oh, nice.
I will
nice.
never watch that, Christopher. Thank you. Thank
All right.
you.
The reason we're all here tonight,
Yeah.
everything,
Friendship?
everywhere, all at once. Oh, besides family and friendship, camaraderie,
Hashtag family.
camaraderie, everything, everywhere, all at once. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be doing a review on it. It's from A24. It was released in 2022. It was written and directed by Zidane, most of them, and it stars. Okay, I always said Michelle Yeoh. Turns
I
out
heard yo.
Yo,
I'm wrong. It's Michelle Yeoh.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I just like the sound of yow.
Okay.
But I've since
She
addressed
doesn't.
Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't. Stephanie who
She might.
or Sue?
Sue.
I don't know that one.
Sue. Stephanie Sue. Kehua Kwan.
I think so.
Emily Curtis. And
Let's wait for it to come around
it's
again
about.
on
I'll
the-
tell you what it's about.
Yeah.
When an interdimensional rupture unravels reality, an unlikely hero must channel her newfound powers to fight bizarre and bewildering dangers from the multiverse as the fate of the world hangs in the balance. I'm just going to get started.
Okay.
Top number one movie of at least 5 years. This is my favorite film. I had such an emotional reaction. I was engaged the entire time. I was curious. I was delighted. I had a smile on my face, and I was absolutely enthralled by Michelle Yeoh. I have loved her since her early days, doing her what would you call them, like Super Cop, and she's just wonderful. And I like that she had such a breadth of roles that she could inhabit in one movie and really kind of show off what she's capable of. She's usually just known for her physicality and her kung fu movies, but watching her perform in this I was in the whole time, man. This was such a fun experience. I love the poster with all of the eyeballs, the googly eyes. It's really fun. Everything about this movie, top to bottom, loved it. I have no complaints about this movie.
Nice.
Noel, what did you think of Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I think this will be a short conversation because I have no notes. I mean, this movie's it's fantastic. The the juxtaposition of so many genres and themes in such a fun and creative way is just so incredibly rad. It's a really wonderful movie. I think I read an article, and I read an article, but
Nice.
poorly.
Solid.
Thank you. Solid. Not to humble brag,
But I read an article.
but I'm literate.
Hashtag do your own research.
Do you even? No. about how it's almost like a theme now. Millennials are now making movies and telling stories, and almost all of them are centered around, the central conflict is centered around just parents saying they're sorry, or or having some sort of emotional closure with a parent. And I think that's really, really funny, in a very, very true way. So this entire movie had the largest and the smallest stakes at the same time, and that I found very appealing. But I mean, I was in from Swiss Army
trailer?
Man. No, well,
Oh,
I'm talking about like I'll watch the Daniels tell any story they want to. If they want to like adapt a pamphlet, I'm sure it'll be a rousing experience that teaches me something about myself, not unlike every other movie of theirs. So I mean, yeah, this is great. The less you know, the better. But just know that it's worth watching.
Brian.
Yeah, I didn't know too much going into it other than it's a multiverse thing and there's different versions of the character that Michelle Yeoh is playing. And I was glad that I didn't. I sort of had a different picture of what it was going to be when I went into it, and that was not a problem for me at all going through. I thought it was a great movie. I thought the weirdness of the exploration of the multiverse I really appreciated. You get a lot of the different things like you would expect, like what if I chose this or what if I chose that, but you also get some worlds or a world where biology is different in such a way that that could not exist in the world that we're in, but exists there. And I like that expression of the idea of the infinite, or the way that they shift, or not shift, but, kind of link with one of the other universes in that they have to do something unexpected. And it's funnier than I thought this movie was going to be, but also the fact that is sort of true to the idea that it's something that is unusual. You're doing something different, and so it will sometimes be funny. Or the different biology world is funny, kind of. Yeah, what's up?
But what makes this, to me, like that exact reason why it's special, but what makes it even more special and effective is none of those things were throwaways. Now, I don't care to compare this to Doctor Strange, because so many people are for some fucking reason.
Oh no,
they're completely different movies.
The multiverse.
However, I will say, in Doctor Strange, there's one sequence where they fall through a multiverse and it's super cool and all kinds of stuff happens. In this movie, they explore the infinite, and every single thing that they explore is used as a story point later on. To the even the stupid hot dog fingers, in the reality in which Michelle Yeoh's character and Jamie Lee Curtis are in a relationship, and they keep cutting to that, their action as a couple, at the same time that they're cutting to them having an emotional connection in the other universe. So like, there's no throwaway jokes. The rocks with googly eyes have an emotional impact on the characters in another universe. There's nothing. There's no wasted space in this movie at all, which I thought was incredibly impressive, and it begs for repeat viewings.
Oh yeah,
I wanted to watch it again before because we had pushed it a week, and as soon as I got done that movie, actually, I was like, should probably watch that again before the show. But yeah, I like how it takes everything in the movie seriously, right? Even the things that are
ridiculous,
funny to us, but like the multiverse wouldn't care what's funny to us if it should exist or not. You know what I mean? What would we find too strange or unbelievable to exist?
Yeah.
And it takes every one of those things seriously. And I think that adds a lot to the nature of the storytelling, right? It's not just gags. Yeah.
There's a there's a to your point, taking it seriously. There's a quote from the Daniels. The writer directors are both named Daniel, so professionally they refer to themselves as Daniels.
That's interesting.
Just
I've not
Daniels.
heard that before. Yeah.
Their first movie, Swiss Army Man, which is a very weird fucking movie, and it's great. The original pitch for that movie was it's a movie about flatulence, and we want the audience to laugh at the first fart and cry by the last fart.
It's
and
amazing.
That nails the movie. So when you talk about like the film, so where a camera pointed in a movie, that's God's eye. You know, the director is God of this world, and it only shows you what it wants you to see. What they take seriously and what they don't is like the discretion of God. And in this like universe, God doesn't waste space and takes everything on face value. So the universe and everything is on top of a bagel. And we're taking that seriously, and the ramifications of the universe and everything being on a bagel. This is so fucking cool. Super cool.
I loved the imagery of it, right? The expressions of the different infinite things when it gets very abstract, like especially in that all white sort of temple-ish, kind of place, universal temple place. That was cool. All of the ways that the daughter changes, just like nonstop almost. All of that visual imagery was very cool, and the transitions were very cool. Do you guys recognize her? I didn't. My girlfriend pointed it out. She was in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
I've never watched that.
Oh, such a good show. Yeah.
Put it on the pile of all the
that?
good shows I haven't watched yet.
Sure.
Who was in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
She's the daughter in Everything Everywhere All at Once. She plays Joel's girlfriend in the... yeah.
No kidding. What?
Yeah.
Miss
Very
Maisel's a great
different
show.
look, Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's amazing. But she plays like a 1950s person in that, and plays everything else in this one, and also a 1950s person probably at some point.
Hal says, loved Everything Everywhere All at Once. Made my head hurt the first viewing, so I had to watch it again. Great ending, especially for people who have been in a long relationship.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the husband also phenomenal, and
oh my God,
able to play multiple different kinds of the person that like the permutations of that guy. Also, very notable actor from the 1980s, making his return to the screen after 25 years or something like
20
that.
20 years. His first major role in 20 years.
Yeah.
But what you're referring to was like well over 30 years ago. The Goonies.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was Short Round.
Short Round.
Yes. Yeah. I heard, but I don't know how reliable this is, that he intentionally left acting because he felt that there wasn't Asian representation in a quality sort of way. And then like the IMDb write-up makes it seem like, he became a second unit director. He's still in the business. He's just not getting roles anymore. And he finally is. So
it was because he saw Crazy Rich Asians.
Then he decided that's awesome. Yeah. And he was excellent. So good.
In a good way or a bad way?
No, in a good way. This is a legit movie starring Asian people.
I was
by
like
Asian people. Yeah.
Is that like shade at Crazy Rich Asians? Okay.
Right.
I saw Crazy Rich Asians.
I saw Crazy Rich Asians and I was like, fuck this.
I can do better than that.
Wait.
Do a movie
Speaking
about
of that though,
multiverse.
I'm sorry. That's wrong. Sorry.
Cool.
I
was gonna say the dad, the grandfather was among many, many other roles, is the Chinese restaurant maitre d' in the Chinese restaurant episode of Seinfeld.
Nice.
Yeah, James Wong.
James Wong.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Who just got his walk on the walk of fame. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hong. James Hong.
Hong. Sorry. He's awesome. In Big Trouble in Little China, one of my favorite movies.
Oh man, I have not seen that movie in a very long time.
Not one of my favorite John Carpenter movies. One of my favorite movies.
Sure.
Just movies.
I'll tell you
You know
who I
Jack
didn't
Burton always
recognize in
says.
this movie was Jamie Lee Curtis for quite
Oh,
some
yeah.
time. You
Oh,
know?
you didn't realize? That's awesome.
Yeah, she's so transformed from,
Yeah.
just her facial expression is what does most of it. And she's
Mhm.
also in, an unusual wig and that kind of thing. But
Well,
she
she's
was
in like a
great.
fat suit too.
No, she's
Really?
not.
Is she just holding her body
That
that
was
way? Or?
There's
That was the big.
literally
That
a
was
scene
the.
when she.
What?
No.
Yeah, I think that's CG. That is her belly. She actually fought. She like told them, "I want to dress myself,
Oh,
and I want to have my real belly out." So
oh,
that's her real belly.
Oh,
cool.
I thought it was a feint because there was literally a scene where when it
Right.
sucks in unnaturally.
I think that's
Mm.
CG.
Interesting.
Right
Yeah,
on.
it was like a big
Good
deal
for
that she
her.
wanted to like have her real body in it and everything like that. And then when she showed up in costume on the first day and was doing what she was doing on the 1st
Mhm.
day of shooting, she really put everyone at ease and let everyone know just kind of what this movie was going to be. She set the tone, is what they said. So, man,
Yeah,
she's fun. I like her a lot.
It's such a mix of this lighter, more comedic thing than I thought it was going to be for being this esoteric, explorative sci-fi story. And I thought those things worked very well together in this. It was very cool.
I think that's the basis of this conversation: the fact that this movie's not one thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not 10 things.
No. How many things?
It's everything.
Where?
Everywhere.
Oh, at what time?
All at once. Yeah. All at once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I liked those title cards. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
everything, like part 2 everywhere and part 3 all at once, was really cool. It was very effectively done. When the halfway through or half-ish way through, when the movie ends, I was like, that doesn't seem right. Let's stick with this for a moment longer.
Yeah. Maybe I won't get out of my seat just yet.
Right. Well, I didn't see it till I saw it at home, which
I see.
I guess is a bit of a different experience, just because there's nobody else around me.
I mean, I leave the living room every time it ends. I walk out.
You're just looks good.
Yeah,
I got my
just,
phone.
like, credits roll. I pick up my shit from the couch and I leave.
Yeah.
You got to let it sit, and then you can go back into the kitchen or into the living room and watch something else.
You have to transition mentally. Yeah.
Yeah. Movies should be watched.
Yeah.
No binging.
Apparently, Kwan, what's his name? Kehu Kwan, the husband, delivers a reference to his Indiana Jones character Short Round when yelling at Evelyn to snap out of it. The scene plays out exactly the same in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom when Indy is under a spell by Mola Ram.
That's interesting.
Anum Shika.
Sometimes I wonder about that stuff. Right? I just saw a meme today. That was like, in Obi-Wan Kenobi, Obi-Wan tells Leia she won't always be 10 years old. This is foreshadowing to a New Hope when she is not 10 years old.
I love that. I love that bit. It's so dumb.
Yeah. And this one, I think that probably is intentional, but sometimes you read these and you're like, that is not a reference to that thing. That is not, you have made that connection in your head. This is not the case. That joke doesn't mean that or whatever. Yeah. Oh, speaking of this movie, though, the scene with the 2 rocks and the subtitles.
I couldn't believe it.
But like austerely beautiful. Just amazing. Perfect use of silence and
teared up.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was surprised, as Noel had said earlier about the sausage fingers, the hot dog finger universe. I couldn't believe as it was happening that they were like making that important later on again.
Yeah, that was one that you saw another time. Yeah.
Oh, and the love that they have for each other in that universe is so sweet.
Raccacoonie and like everything.
Raccacoonie.
I forgot. Yeah.
Everything fucking loops in on itself, which is just it's just a storytelling feat. It's again this longer conversation, but it really is all down to like the first bit, no notes. This movie's great.
Yeah.
Well, Christopher Goodnight has notes. Christopher
notes.
Goodnight's down in the chat, and he says, "Couldn't disagree more. I was so bored, and it was too weird."
Too weird. That I don't think exists for me.
Too weird.
Personally. Now things can be weird and not great,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's not something that I have experienced maybe in at least quite a long time. But yeah, to each their own. That is unfortunate that you were bored.
Mars says, "This sounds great. Going to have to watch this." And Hal actually chimes in, "Yes, Mars, go watch it."
There you
I was
go.
gonna say,
Yeah.
I think all three of us here on the show, 100% would recommend several times.
For sure. Yeah, I would say definitely go check it out. If you're the kind of person that likes the stuff that we talk about on this show and watch this show, you'd like it, I think. Obviously it's not foolproof. Christopher Goodnight's not into it, but I think you got a good chance of enjoying the movie.
It was absolutely worth it.
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting also. I've heard people say that Clark Kent is very successful because people put himself into their place. And it's like, if I had, I maybe Meek, if I had this secret, I could secretly be Superman, and wouldn't that be awesome? And in some ways, Michelle Yeoh's main character is a fulfillment of not having accomplished what you would like to have done, right? Her power is that she tried a lot of things and didn't do any of them, and, unfortunately, maybe that's always been the case throughout human history for one reason or another. I think partially in this day and age, a lot of people are very busy surviving, working. Noel mentioned a 9 to 5 earlier. That's the classic. We don't even do that anymore. It's 8 to 5, plus commutes and other distractions and what have you. And you spend a lot of your energy doing that, and you leave aside things that you wanted to do. And I think that this movie makes it like, well, what if that was actually my greatest ability?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
She failed at every single thing.
Right. And that puts her right at the crossroads to achieve allness, which sounds nice. Sounds great to be all things.
When even the conversation that the husband and wife have in the reality, the universe where she is a mega, where she's Michelle Yeoh, where she's
basically
Michelle Yeoh, and he is a businessman, like a successful businessman. They both have reached the pinnacle, I guess, of what they wanted in their worlds, and yet they still kind of feel empty and alone, and they miss each other. Even though she's, I think, a little hesitant to admit it. And he has that line of like, I want to do taxes with you. I want to wash clothes and do taxes.
I want to run a failing laundry and do taxes with you or something. Yeah.
Oh man, it got me.
I'll tell you what, he seems like two different people in that, like in that one and all of his other roles. He transforms himself so capably. It's really cool.
It's usually a down or a negative in most movies when they have multiple endings, but this movie is so expansive. There's I think like 3 or 4 different finales. Each character gets their own arc. Even the girlfriend who you don't like meet for more than 4 seconds at a time gets a full arc. Like every character in this movie gets an arc, which is really they're all emotionally satisfying.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. In another life, I would have really liked just doing taxes with you.
Yes, that's a good line. That was a great line. Yeah.
But go on. Sorry.
Noel, you had mentioned Rakakuni a while ago, and I think that that is itself a really cool exploration of the infinite. That not only does everything you can think of exist, and all fictional movies are represented out there somewhere, not because they're fictional here, but just because they can exist, so too does her mistaken idea about what the movie Ratatouille is also exists. Like, she is incorrect about that, and that also is real somewhere.
That's a good point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like to think that every time somebody gets like a song lyric wrong, they've created a branch universe.
There is a
Yeah.
world there where that
Where-
is the correct lyric, where
where-
somebody
yeah,
is
where-
singing that. Yeah.
Hold Me
I-
Closer,
Jimi
Tony
Hendrix
Danza
is
has
saying-
its own universe.
Yeah.
See, when I was
Pardon
younger,
me
I
while I
thought that
kiss this
was
guy.
"Hold Me
Yeah.
Close and Tie Me Down, Sir" was what
Oh,
I legitimately
also-
thought
that one
was.
definitely exists.
There's a universe right there.
Yeah. And it's not because you've thought of that. It just
No, it just existed.
exists, you know. And it's one of my favorite concepts, right? That just every permutation is out there somewhere.
It's the improbability of probabilities kind of thing. Like what was it, Douglas Adams, who did the whole thing about Hamlet? Like if you have an infinite number of monkeys in a room with an infinite amount of time and an
typewriters,
an infinite amount of typewriters, they're going to eventually bang out Hamlet. It's
Yeah.
just it's just all feasibilities in the ether.
Yeah. In fact, there is. It's called Babel something. There is a computer program which has combined the English or Latin characters in every
is it called-
possible.
Is it called Babelfish?
It might be, yeah. And a
That's-
reference
again,
to Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. It combines every possible permutation of Latin characters and spaces and punctuation and everything. And everything that can possibly be written is in there somewhere. So, yeah, I guess the monkeys could do it if they get off their lazy asses.
And in conclusion,
Yeah.
Brian concurs.
Yeah.
Hal 2814 says, "Yeah, when he said that line, it hit so hard. When my wife came home, I hugged her so hard." The line about laundry and taxes. And
4 hours later.
Is,
No
my
idea what was
response.
going
I
on.
mean, my wife would just be like, I just got home. Give me a second.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
my
what
stuff
did
down.
you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you do?
Do you know that this movie was originally written for Jackie Chan in mind for the lead role?
Oh, that's interesting. I
yeah.
think this is much more effective.
Now hold on. Daniels originally wrote the script. I'm reading this off the IMDb.
All right.
Ultimately, Daniels reconsidered the leading role to be played by a woman, feeling a husband and wife relationship was more convincing.
Wouldn't it
What?
be what?
What? Right?
Yeah.
Well, was it
Rather
just
than
supposed
a-
to be a man and his son, as opposed to a whole family
Oh,
dynamic?
Oh,
into
that's
I
interesting.
see. I was
figured
like,
it
was
would
he not
still be a
also
wife.
going to be married to a woman? What?
Right. Yeah, this seems. I mean, I think Michelle Yeoh is also probably a more well-rounded actor than Jackie
Oh,
Chan is.
absolutely.
How dare you? No, just kidding.
However, he was
I've never
really
saw
good in
him in
that last
Hamlet.
one he did. What was that last
He's-
one he did?
The last American one, Foreigner or something like that.
That was
He's a
great.
very good actor. He's actually just a really good actor.
Is he? Does he just get pigeonholed in doing his thing? I mean,
I mean,
Michelle
I think-
Yeoh
I
did.
think I think he pigeons
likes
his
it.
own hole. Like
All right. Hey,
he's just
pigeon
like,
your
this
holes.
is what makes me
You know?
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes in raw, just pigeons his own hole.
Yeah, do it. Do it up there on the
Richest
big
man.
screen.
I need someone to pinch. I don't want to pinch my own. I'd like someone to help me.
You want somebody to pigeon your holes
Pitch?
for you? JD, we all
Pitch
have
your
to
hole?
pigeon our
Are
own
we
holes
saying
in this
pigeon
world.
or pinch? I think you said
Pigeon.
pinch.
Pigeon
your
hole.
hole.
Pinch
Not
is
pigeon
no
holes.
Pinch.
Wait,
Pinch an empty
is that
space.
a saying now? Like he doesn't like he's such hole pinched. He's
yeah.
pinched in a
His-
hole.
Yeah. His hole got so pinched.
Yeah.
You
Don't
can't
pinch
get
your
out.
hole over it,
Buy
JD.
Yes.
Buy a
quit-
pigeon?
Hey, I'm gonna need you to quit pinching your hole over it. All right, just relax.
He's off the rails.
I told you I'm high.
So
I'm sorry.
the movie's great.
No, I'm
What do we talk? Everyone, go watch it if you haven't watched it yet. Watch
Go
it
watch
again
the movie.
with fresh eyes. What are we talking about next week, JD?
Well, I'll tell you.
what
Well,
is
thank
it?
you so much for asking me. Next week, at
All
the
right.
same bad time, this same bad channel, we're going to be discussing Superman, Son of Kal-El, Volume 1, which, if you read it in issues, is issues 1 through 5?
6.
1 through 6. So, join us here next week, 9 p.m. on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live to talk about that. As well as what we've been watching this week, huh?
Hmm?
We're gonna watch
That's a
something over the
return
course of the
segment.
next week.
Yeah, it is.
Or wait, that's a return segment, right? What was the original one called? Like, what you been up to, huh? Or was it
Yeah,
what you been
basically.
watching?
It's shut up. Anything else? Anything else before we split? Is we
I
done?
specifically made a callback. Oh.
What is it?
I remembered something else that I've been reading. I am getting caught up on Iron Man by Christopher Cantwell and Cafu.
Oh yeah.
It is fucking awesome. It's
I read the
crazy
first
awesome.
chunk of them and it was great.
I have no idea about any. I know nothing about Korvac, other than
Oh,
his
Oh,
name,
yeah.
and he was a threat
Yeah.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's like all Korvac all the time, and it's
Hmm.
awesome. It's
I only
crazy.
know him
Awesome.
from that one episode or arc of the Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon.
Oh.
But
It's probably
cool.
in vain, like of
Yeah.
what the original story was. This is a
Probably.
whole new thing, but still, it's great.
That's cool.
And I love Tony and Patsy Walker. Such a good
Yeah,
combo.
I like them together. They're fun.
Hmm.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna head out, but just remember what old Johnny Destructo does when the earth quakes and the poison arrows fall from the sky and the pillars of heaven shake. Yeah, Johnny Destructo just looks that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Give me your best shot, pal. I can take it."
That seems unwise.
What's in the bag, Wang?
Yeah.
What's in the bag, Wang?
Also, go watch Big Trouble in Little
Big
China.
Trouble in Little
Do
China
that.
is
What's that?
now. I think it's now on HBO Max in HD. I think everyone should watch it. That's next week. It
reminds me of that scene from Star Trek: The Next Generation where the guy talks about it's like this myth of the guy that stands to face a storm and everyone else runs and hides inside and he's like, I'm not afraid of the storm. And in the morning they come out and he was dead because the storm does not respect a fool.
Shit.
Yeah.
Honestly, that sounds like Jack Burton.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Classic Jack.
You need to watch Big Trouble in Little China. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
so
I mean, I
good.
have seen it, but it's been a very long
Put it on
time.
the schedule.
Mars says, "Great show, guys. I missed you all. I'm liking the new format. Thanks." Thank you, Mars.
Yes, I was worried. Mars Comics, you seemed dicey about our format change.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm glad
what?
that we've
No
proven
comics.
it to you.
Yeah.
That
I'm
this
still
could
on.
be
I'm
good
still
too.
on weeklies, Mars. I got you.
Oh,
It's all right,
Mars.
Mars.
Also, so at the end of every month, we're going to do a month roundup on the weekly comics. So if there's anything that comes out this month that you want us to talk about at the end of the month, let us know.
Yeah, you can also suggest other things for us to talk about.
Oh yeah, movies.
Yeah, anyone in the
anything.
audience, you can
Self-help
relate
books.
to us.
You can
Yeah,
send
we
us
only
your
have-
sexual questions. We will answer your romantic
Sure.
queries.
Sure. Yeah. What should you do in this or that scenario?
You know what you
kind of
do.
thing.
You pinch the hole.
Yeah, you got to pinch that hole.
That is a universal good idea.
Yeah, always pinch the hole. Never,
sure.
Pinch the
never
hole.
not be hole pinching.
Hey, so one time I gave them that advice. It was sage advice.
Mhm.
I gave them that advice. They came to me and they say, "Where's the hole?" And I just looked at them and walked away.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Noel. You are now my favorite.
Give
That
it time.
That hurts me.
Yeah.
All right,
That
guys,
sucks, my
good
Give it
night.
time, and it'll go away. Have a good night, everybody. Mwah, mwah,
Toodles.
mwah.